Where most video games draw from the fantastical of Japanese folklore, Ghost of Tsushima takes a very grounded and serious approach. Following Jin after the slaughter of his fellow samurai on the beaches of Tsushima, the game tells the tale of a man struggling between surviving at all costs and preserving his honorable ways. To save Tsushima from the Mongol invasion, Jin must embrace the ghost within and become a legend greater than himself. The combat of Ghost of Tsushima is the game's big mechanic. You will learn how to parry, dodge, and gracefully switch between different stances to become a true force of nature. With different enemy types tweaked to different stances, you'll find yourself switching tactics often, keeping the combat diverse and fresh. These mechanics are slowly doled out to you throughout the game, offering a good pace for the progression. It is definitely a system you get better at over time, and while I was far from perfect, it did seem like there were some small timing issues. However, this didn't hinder my enjoyment of the game. Its fast and decisive combat was polished, and it never got stale. Equipped with the arsenal of the Ghost, Jin learns to fight dirty. From stealth kills to poison darts, you learn to use every tool to your advantage. While it goes against Jin's honor, its effects can't be argued. And well, it's really fun to stealth in and slaughter a bunch of Mongols in their camps. While raiding many of the enemy forts felt samey, it was something that I still looked forward to and enjoyed carrying out. And if you're feeling like a total badass, you can walk right up to the front gate and challenge the Mongols to a standoff. It's a cinematic samurai quick draw minigame that rewards you with insta-kills for your well-timed strikes. It's always a great feeling taking down a whole patrol of Mongols with just a few quick cuts of your katana. During certain cinematic moments, you'll enter into a duel. No ghost techniques are allowed, just you and your skill with the blade. These moments are always amazing to play, and highlight the game's combat greatly. They were also the most challenging parts of the game, essentially being the boss fights of some areas. You can use the touchpad to bow, play music, call your horse, and wipe the blood from your blade. Its most useful function, though, is to summon the wind. As opposed to having a compass, the game lets the wind's direction naturally guide you to your destination on the map. It's truly a spectacle seeing the environment react to the gusts of wind, and it's a great way to minimize the HUD. At some point you'll get the grappling hook. While this isn't implemented in combat, it does offer a more dynamic traversal option, and it was used throughout the game enough to warrant its addition into the game. Throughout Tsushima are many places to visit and challenges to face. Bamboo posts test your speed, shrines test your traversal, and hot springs reward your exploration. Many times I just followed a yellow bird to these destinations and I was never disappointed. There were even spots where I could sit and write haiku. It was oddly satisfying. One negative is many of the quests did feel samey. Go here, investigate something, possibly stealth around, and do some combats. While I appreciated many of the smaller quests only being 5 to 10 minutes, they never really wowed me. I feel the game does definitely suffer from the open world sandbox problem where it continuously gives you 1,000 things to do. You could spend 20 plus hours just doing side missions and collecting artifacts, but thankfully, it never forces you to grind at all. You could take the time to complete all the side objectives, learn advanced techniques, and upgrade your weapons and armor, but I never felt like I had to stop playing the main story to progress. Lastly, the horse riding is great. It feels natural, and it's always a joy traveling with your trusted companion through the beauty of Tsushima, and you can capture all the great moments with the almost now standardized photo mode. The story of Ghost of Tsushima is okay. It was never terrible, just never really that surprising. I will say, however, doing the tales for some of the main characters were very enjoyable. Learning who these characters are and bonding with them felt pretty natural, and while most of them have a serious tenor, I had a good time interacting with them. And while the story is ultimately predictable, there were some moments that still resonated with me emotionally. The game made me feel for these characters, so it was definitely doing something right. The mythic tales are some of the best missions of the game, often taking you to beautiful and exotic locations on the map where you'd learn a new skill or gain a legendary item. With an epic duel to end each tale, these mythic adventures highlight everything the game gets right. And if you're looking for even more cinematic pizzazz, you can play in the game's Kurosawa mode, or turn on subtitles and listen to the game in Japanese. Generally, I prefer to keep the game's vibrant colors turned on, but it's a thoughtful addition. The art style is the game's strongest point. With heavenly vibrant fields, the game gushes color, and while the particle effects seem extreme in points, it certainly did enhance the game's feel in cinematic moments. The environment's epic scale and flair are some of the best I've ever seen on the PS4. It really gives you that feeling of wonder discovering the world, something akin to Breath of the Wild. The character models look great for the most part. I did run into some duplicates and average NPCs that didn't seem as detailed, but that being said, they never looked bad. This game is as much an art piece as it is an adventure game. The music hits all the emotional swells you'd expect. The soundtrack truly enhances the already gorgeous art style, and I never got annoyed listening to it. Even all the sound effects are good and responsive, from the perfectly timed parries to the sounds of birds signaling me to follow them. Ghost of Tsushima is a complete package. With a beautiful world, great combat, you'll be spending a long time immersed in this game. And while I felt the gameplay wasn't anything new and drew heavily from your standard Ubisoft sandbox, Ghost of Tsushima elevates itself from the competition with its rich characters, rich environments, and delivers a true and unforgettable samurai experience, getting an 8 out of 10. If you haven't played this game, it's well worth the money, and Sucker Punch also just announced that the game will eventually be getting a free multiplayer co-op mode that looks pretty rad. I hope you enjoyed the review, and please tell me what you thought of the game down below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and once again, this is Game Ghost. Stay safe out there.